use it. So we're going to have Swawn Green talk now. Chapter 4, please.
This is Swawn Green, and I'm here to talk about a tool I learned late in my career on how to battle slumps, something that's always present on the baseball field. I started working with Dr. Crowley in 2004, halfway through the season. I got a letter from him and acted on it. I was in the middle of the worst slump I'd had throughout my career. I was struggling the entire first half of the season, and in 2003 I had played with a shoulder injury, and after the season had it fixed, and I still couldn't quite get things right. I had gotten bad habits mechanically that I was working through, but at the same time those mechanical changes weren't taking action on the field. And as Dr. Crowley put it, it was the different splinters or whatever that were in my shoulder on a subconscious level had never been removed, and I had to remove those through doing different types of work with him, and got those out of there. And that's when I took off. And actually the first day I talked to him on the phone for 30 minutes and did some of the different exercises. That night I hit a double and a home run to win the game after being in a terrible slump, and then finished the second half of the season on par with the same numbers as my best seasons that I had throughout my career. And for me, I felt like that shoulder injury was never really completely healed on more of the subconscious level, and by doing the imagination work that Dr. Crowley does, I was able to get rid of it. And it's actually fun and easy, and as I mentioned, you don't have to keep thinking about the game. You really you're using your imagination on a totally different level, and you're attacking the problem, and you can have instant results as I did. It happened that very day. So during slumps, I was always quick to analyze mechanics, and I think that's obviously the first step every player should take when you start to go into a slump, is to look at your video. But I found during my best years and my worst years, the mechanics a lot of times where you couldn't distinguish between the two if you slow them down frame by frame. And I think a lot of coaches will try to find something out of nothing, and almost every coach that wears a uniform feels that when you're not getting hits or hitting home runs, the reason is mechanics, and they try to make changes and tinker, and before you know it, you get into worse problems, and you're kind of all screwed up. And I know a lot of players now are working more with sports psychiatrists, psychologists, and are dealing with it on a different level, and that's a good thing. At the same time, I think all the over-analyzing of the baseball in general, even on a visualization level and trying to visualize success, I think that all just can be a little bit of a deterrent sometimes in recovering your swing. Over time, many players will use Dr. Crowley's tactics to overcome slumps and injuries and different issues, and it's going to save careers, and it's going to improve performance for a lot of people. Thank you.
Okay. Talk about visualization. As Green mentioned, and everything you taught, visualization is incredible. It's the biggest muscle to use in any sport, to use in your real life off the field, nothing to do with sports. It's incredible. You keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Here's the problem, and here's how it works. You need to find someone at school who maybe majors in sports management or even psychology, because you guys are busy, and have him come over. He'd love to work and do the visualization technique specifically. There's a real tailor-made way to do it with all your players. After, no one usually goes up and asks a player, go visualize Joe throwing the ball over and over and over, it's going to work. Go visualize hitting. No one goes over and says, so what happens when you're doing your visualization? The kid's doing his visualization over and over and over, and no one tells, and the ball's going into the dirt after a while. Or he's just hitting badly, the worst thing he wants. Unwittingly, he's being programmed further and further and further into his problem, deeper and deeper into it. So the best diagnostic category to find out if a player is having a problem, have him do the visualization, tell him what happens during it. If you have him having a problem throwing the ball in the dirt when there should be bullets, you have a kid with a problem, bring him over and we'll talk about what to do with him in a second. It is the best clue, the easiest one for you guys to know what's going on with him. Give you another example of mechanics with my own nephew, who's